Hey everybody and welcome to Gay 2K. I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And today we're going to talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer again, but we're going to explore the gay male character.
Larry Blaisdell.
Larry Blaisdell. Right.
Can't be pronouncing it right. Okay, so he first shows up on Halloween, Season 2, Episode 6, October 27th. I Know What You Did Last Summer is in its second week at the number 1 spot. The world is still mourning the loss of Princess Diana, and Elton John's big hit right now is Candle in the Wind, which he wrote and sang for his best friend, Princess Diana. In the town of Sunnydale, there's some hijinks going on, and Larry shows up. He's an asshole at school. He's a bully, and he chose a costume that makes him even more of a bully, and he becomes a pirate thanks to magical clothing and a spell. And that bully pirate tries to attack Buffy, and Buffy's a princess, so she can't defend herself, which is like the first image that we have of Larry. He's a big bully at school in real life. He's pushing girls over. He's grabbing their buttocks and talking about them being weak. He is the worst chauvinist and very out and loud about it. And because he's a football athlete, the school literally supports him and will look the other way and tell the women who say, "Hey, I feel uncomfortable," yada yada yada. They say, "Deal with it. This is for a grade," and they still have to endure bullshit.
Regardless of how they acted or behaved, and throughout most of Gay 2K TV, so 1997 to 2008, 9, it was still seen as the coolest people were the jocks and cheerleaders, regardless of whether or not they're bullies or assholes or whatever. Yeah. Like, they were still the people you wanted to be. And so we see that, yes, that elitism, that place of high regard when we see Larry.
And time again, Cordelia will say things to that effect. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. They're on the fast track. Mm-hmm. They're going somewhere with their lives. And, like, pushes down women and other teenagers who try to fight against it. Like, what do you have to offer? What are you doing for the school? Right. So it was definitely a merit-based excuse. Like, yeah, he's a bully, but he's also, taking our school somewhere. He's going to go somewhere. He's going to get out of this town. Mm-hmm. He's going to have a college career. What do you have, Xander? And he's really a foil for Xander. In the next big episode where he has some real lines, it's Phases.
The episode Phases aired January 27th, 1998, which is 3 months after the first appearance of Larry on Buffy. And the premise for Phases is that somebody is being attacked by a werewolf. They don't know who the werewolf is. And they start, of course, like anybody would, questioning everyone in their high school, because why wouldn't you just assume that it's another high school student and not somebody from the town?
Because the high school is on the Hellmouth.
Yeah, the high school literally sits on the Hellmouth, so it's probably a high schooler. The episode Phases is an introduction to the werewolf character that we, by the end of the episode, reveal to be Oz. But on the journey to discover who the werewolf is, Xander questions Larry about a secret that he's been hiding.
And he's very accusatory, but also gentle. It's a very empathetic approach. And he's like, "Hey man, I know what you're up to. I hear about what you're doing at night, or I know what you're doing it because I've done it too. And I've been there, man. You gotta just come out and say it." And very quickly, and it's comic, it's very silly. Larry's like, "I'm gonna beat you up, don't you dare. You can't. Oh my gosh, what's the whole school going to say about me?" And he gets very dramatic. There's even a little bit, there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama to the way he slowly comes out. Comes out and says, "You know what? I am gay. And now that I just said it out loud, I feel a lot better. A weight is lifted off me." And he still holds Xander, I think with one hand, gripping him by the shirt collar still, and it's like, "Thank you very much." Yeah,
and just knowing, doesn't he say something about knowing that you've been through it too, right? Because what Xander is talking about in knowing what he's gone through, he thinks he's relating to this werewolf. Xander was in an episode in season 1. He was Xander in an episode during season 1 was possessed by the spirit of a hyena along with some of his other schoolmates. And so he's like relating to him like, I know what you've been through, animal to animal. He doesn't say animal to animal. He just says like, I know those urges, whatever that alludes to it could very clearly the dialogue could very clearly be interpreted as he's speaking gay man to gay man about the secret and the danger of being a gay man. And Larry takes that and runs with it. And so then we have this character is out, but then also the comedy of Xander knowing that this character is out and not wanting to out him, but then this character thinking Xander is out.
I think the conversation ends like, don't ever speak of this again. And Larry, like, automatic ally, automatic gay growth. It's like, I would never do that to you. I would never out you unless you were ready. But he essentially says, like, I'm ready. I'm ready to be out. I don't need to be, I don't need to be held back because I feel so much better. And for the rest of the episode, he is super sweet and super nice to all the girls. Like, early that episode, he's like pushing down their trays and like trying to look at their butts. And then after that, he's like basically opening doors for women and just, just like, hey, I'm really sorry about that. You're really nice, yada yada. I'm a sweet boy now.
Because all of the repression goes away the second you speak it the first time, of course.
It's California. I don't
know. It's California. I don't know. It's such a running theme in this show. For this podcast. But yes.
The next big growth that we see is in the episode Earshot, which April 14th, 1999, around the time that Columbine happened. Earshot is about Buffy looking for a high school shooter in her class.
Because, okay, in the episode Earshot, Buffy gets touched by a demon who has the ability to give an aspect of the demon to whomever it touches.
I think it's blood.
And then she like spends some time freaking out if like it's gonna be horns, or Willow has a line about basically like, what if it's a penis? She doesn't say what if it's a penis, but like, what if it's a boy demon or something?
Yeah.
So the first part of the episode or the very beginning of the episode is kind of playful, but quickly the aspect of the demon that she inherits is the ability to read people's thoughts. And in reading those thoughts, she discovers a lot of things about her friends and family. But more importantly, she overhears someone say, by this time tomorrow, you'll all be dead. And instantly she goes to the place of somebody's going to be shooting somebody. This episode was written and recorded. This episode was written and produced prior to Columbine even happening. And it was supposed to air, its original air date was right around the same time as Columbine. I think it was like a week. It had to have been after. So I think it was supposed to be literally the next Tuesday that episode was supposed to air. But instead they pushed it back a month or two. And I was living in Central Florida at the time, and the syndication that we got for the WB was based out of Orlando, and I never saw that episode air. And you said...
I saw it, I think, the summer before we met. I was playing pool in my apartment complex, and right after Charmed, Buffy the Vampire Slayer came on, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. And I watched it, and it was great. So in the episode, the Scooby Gang gets together, and they're like, all right, who do we talk to? And Xander decides to question Larry again because, he's going through all those changes and maybe life's rough. And on a nice, sweet little turn of events, very quick, Larry says that life is fine. He's out. His family's super supportive. I think at some point he might say that his aunt's trying to set him up with people.
Yeah, and he says, because in his mind, Xander's
still in the closet.
He's like, I could have whoever. He name drops somebody on the newspaper staff. He's like, I could have them write up a nice little piece for you in the school paper.
When you're ready, we're here for you.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
So, yeah, he gets scratched off the list of suspects pretty quickly, and it turns out by the end of the episode, it's not even a student looking to kill anybody, it's the lunch lady. She wants to poison everybody. So that was a twist on a twist. It's a really interesting episode. There's actually some really powerful dialogue that Buffy has with a character named Jonathan, who becomes a bigger part in the series later, because she thinks that he is going to use a gun to harm others, and he has a gun because he plans to harm himself. So there's some interesting, really powerful dialogue around that. And then we jump to Graduation. Is the next
Graduation Day Part 2, which aired on July 13th, 1999. Among the 10 students who died at the mayor's ascension into a big snake butthole, Larry dies. And Larry helped prep for this big fight. This is a big episode because
I'm only laughing because it doesn't transform into just the snake's butthole.
It's a full snake.
It's not just a giant snake butthole, literally.
He was
He's
a butthole
a giant
already.
snake who is also a butthole. In the slang use of the word butthole, not the literal use of the word
The mayor
butthole.
was already a butthole.
The mayor was a butthole. We turned into a giant snake, retaining the butthole quality.
Yeah, snake dash butthole.
But yes, so Larry was one of the 10 students, and the episode, it's very like camaraderie. Everyone in the school is piling their efforts together, and they're working together to save the day because
they're not going to take it.
Yeah.
They're adults now. It's time for them to take ownership in their fucking mayor and the principal and all those oppressive qualities of living and setting on the Hellmouth. It's over for them, and they're not going to take it anymore. So they do gang up, and they attempt to defeat or stop the ascension of the mayor. However, the mayor succeeds to some extent in that he ascends into a higher demonic life form and kills Sweet Larry with his tail, and he dies basically on impact, which is important to say because R.I.P. those 10 and Larry who died that day. Actually, among those 10, I think some of them are vampires. Students died that day, and Larry didn't die off camera. Larry died a hero for his school, and Larry is later mentioned in other episodes fondly. So, not your average gay death, but definitely the start of a trope, at least for us. Who identified it as the armored closet?
So I was looking this up, and I literally just, used the Google, which, side note, or not side note,
the Google.
Perhaps the verb Google came from Buffy. Willow season 6 might be the first documented use of Googled as a verb. Maybe. I saw that on the internet, right? So just like you're seeing me say this now.
On the internet.
Feel free to verify that. Anyways, I Googled this cliche school bully turned gay archetype, and it came up with a tvtropes.com came up, and it said that there's a whole trope for this called the armored closet. I didn't read through all the examples because I kind of just wanted to talk with Alex and explore some examples that we came up on our own, but essentially it is this thing that, it's internalized homophobia to an extreme case, but also from a place of you're in a position of, masculine environment already kind of thing. And
that people are I remember my counselor talking to me about the bullies in my gay life as a teenager and suggesting that one of them was probably gay. My dad, gross. Your dad's probably gay. I don't know, man. That's awkward. But there was this idea in our culture, like, wow, you are so anti-gay, you are so anti-women that you must be gay.
Yeah.
Was the whole idea there. And when I was thinking about Larry, I remembered other TV characters like Dave Karofsky.
Dave Karofsky is...
Character from Glee.
Yeah, I would say, when Alex brought this up, I was like, Dave Karofsky is
he did even better. Like, the writers made him an even
right.
better armored prophet.
And he exists, in my opinion, because Larry existed. Like, I don't know, but that's just my timeline, so therefore that's my reality.
I mean, he was a football player.
Right.
He actually force kissed on Kurt. I think, yeah.
Like Kurt.
Yeah. He was Kurt's.
First kiss. Probably.
We'll verify that later. Google that. Doug Witter also came to mind from Dawson's Creek, who wasn't exactly a bully, but Pacey's big brother. And the show shows Pacey. The show has Pacey as the bully most of the time, calling him homophobic slurs. There is, between their life history, a time where Doug actually pulled a gun on Pacey. So, like, their whole sibling rivalry is a huge thing. And he comes out much later on as actually gay. So, but he's a big tough cop.
Yes, the cop element. So once again, that like masculine persona, whether or not it's a shield for gay or not.
And the timeline there was, I don't know if he was originally written to be gay on season 1, but at the end of the season, he is revealed to be out.
Yeah, he ends the series with a male partner.
Our sweet Kerr Smith. Yeah. Do you want to talk about Paige?
So when we're talking about this, I tried to like think of like an example that is like that in the like, you know, what is an example of that kind of same trope in lesbian characters in TV or film, and the only one that came to mind was Paige in Pretty Little Liars. And I didn't watch the show religiously, but I do. And we were adults. I don't even know when Pretty Little Liars aired the first time, but I feel like I was old. But the trope is there of Paige is a closeted athlete and bullies, and I believe she tries to kill Emily, who is bisexual, openly bisexual at that point in time character, and then later tries to kiss her. Like, it's gross and problematic, and perhaps maybe even falls into another trope that Alex and I were throwing around, which is wet girls kissing.
White girls kissing.
Not white girls kissing. Wet girls kissing.
Okay. So
what did this mean for you? What does it still mean for you?
I remember we were talking about Buffy. We're revisiting the Buffy and what we've filmed so far, and talking about Willow and Tara, and how I mentioned how, you know, Willow and Tara were just Power Rangers to me. They were just badass. Like, I knew it was gay, and I knew it was like, ooh, watch out, Alex, don't get in trouble. Don't get caught watching this because they're lesbians. Get caught because they're hot ladies kissing or something like that. I don't know. Butch bullshit.
Whatever, mind frame you had to put yourself in.
But to like be okay. So sad. But I remember Larry, that episode, as being like just like a real flash in the pan moment of like, wow, hot. That's amazing. And it's in a locked room, and it's just the two of them, and it's not horny, but it is intimate very quickly, and very much, it's the most rated G porn I think a young Alex had viewed.
Because of the tension, right?
There was tension, and there was quick release, and there was acceptance even, and moving on and changing and growing and becoming a better person. It was an alchemist's wet dream, honestly.
What did did Xander report back to the group about?
He kept it quiet because
Xander swore to secrecy. I know he wouldn't have said like, Larry just told me he was gay, but like, was he like Larry? Like, he was just like, it's not Larry, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Xander told him, we are never going to talk about this again. Like, that was a real commitment that they both made. They have a sworn to secrecy gay brother promise there. And I think that's really fucking cute. It's a non-sexual relationship that was definitely about homosexuality and maleness and formed for me what it would mean in high school to be in the closet, not in the closet, just to be gay, irregardless of the closet, irregardless of who knows, just to be okay with it, release, be happy, be a nicer person in general, which it didn't like do like an immediate change of character for me personally, but it was there as a framework of how to handle sexuality, promises, secrecy.
Cool.
Not like the deep relationship stuff at all. No, but
well, yeah, sure.
Just people's identity, I think. That's pretty huge.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I remember seeing other characters like that as we grew up. Remembering Dave Karofsky pretty quickly. Like, I remember this football player, jock guy. I wonder if it's going to be better. I wonder if he'll come out and be happy. I remember in Rivendell, in much, much later, there's a character named Moose who comes out alongside another gay character, but it doesn't really turn out that way, and I misremember the bulliness because Moose just is a big hunky. I think that's how I first related to you. Big hunky guy comes out of the closet and is no longer a bully or no longer a meanie.
Yeah,
he's just happier. I think I do want to say like there's a really interesting dichotomy with these secondary characters and the main character. And the early 2000s, the main gay character is a skinny little twink every time. And I think that stays for a while. But these secondary back characters are big, thick boys, and they do not get a lot of representation in general. Musculature aside, in television, in primetime, daytime television, it's a big, hunky, butch guy who is secondary background character.
Right. I do think that in order, and we talked about this a little bit when we talked about Will and Grace. So to make lesbians more palatable for straight men, they were always still like super sexy, super femme. Still are super femme. Like there's not a whole lot of butch representation. To make gay men more palatable to straight men, I think that they almost made it so that they couldn't see themselves. Like if you were a masculine acting guy, the super effeminate gay guy wasn't somebody that you could relate to in any way. So he was like this whole other thing. And maybe there were other straight characters that were nice to him that you could kind of emulate, like a Finn or whatever, or Xander. But ultimately,
Xander especially, because he was like, I don't want to talk about it. We're never talking about this. Please don't ever talk to me again. Like he was very...
Yeah. So I do think, it was rare that we saw... Still even rare. Like I'm even thinking about like Modern Family, right? Modern Family, Cam and Mitch. Mm-hmm. Cam is an athlete, but he is also vocally and gesture-wise as effeminate, almost more so than
his glorious
Mitch.
Best friend.
Yes, like he runs around and his hands pop up here, but he's also like able to kick your ass. So
and football coach.
Yeah, so they did like a great blend. I think that's probably even though they don't kiss for so long or whatever, I know there was controversy of like, oh, Phil and Claire kiss all the time. Why don't Mitch and Cam kiss? It's like, I don't know. Not every couple's into PDA. And then they like made that like a bit. And I get like representation is big and it's important to see those things, but it was also important to just let Cam and Mitch
do them
exist and to be these two characters that balanced out each other's male and feminine qualities and at different times in different ways. So my whole point is I don't think that we get an answer to the stereotypes until
they're 40.
Until they're 40, and then at that point in time, it's still those stereotypes, but they're comically flipped sometimes for the sake of the narrative, but that brings further insight to them as people.
Yeah.
It's never at the expense of Cam and Mitch that these other qualities are brought out. It's always to add to them.
Yeah. And I think to add to that too, I like what you're saying about the main male straight, maybe not even the audience, but the producers, the backers. Um, these bully characters, these butcher characters are so basic. They only wear, I think Dave Karofsky only wears his Letterman jacket most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it was the 90s, but Larry wears really basic like sweaters and like pants, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not trying to be super showy, and I think some of the purpose is like, yeah, he's in the background visually, but also like as a person, as a dude that could possibly pass as straight, he's not like me. He's a meanie. He's a mean person. He's someone that someone should stand up to. He's in some ways an enemy sexually and socially.
Yeah, he dresses like Kevin Smith, but but is not nice and clever like Kevin Smith.
Yeah, they aren't. They never get bonus points for being smart. They're just athletes. Yeah. I wonder about those producers and backers. Like, wow, those meanies, they must have been gay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I mean, true, like, it goes back to, like, what you were, like, internalized homophobia is still a thing that we talk about. I think it was a thing that people struggled with even more then. I think there were less avenues to come out. So I think people did have experiences with maybe even those exact situations. Not like I'm talking to you about a werewolf, but I'm confronting you about something and, you know.
You know the secret. Yeah. I know the secret. Mm-hmm. I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're doing at night. What is Larry doing at night? What is Larry doing at night? What was he doing?
Who is Larry doing at night?
Oh no! I don't think he was. I think it was all by his lonesome. It was Sunnydale.
I mean, it wasn't that far.
It was California.
Right? It wasn't that far from somewhere. There was a gay bar within driving distance. I'm sure of it. And he's not like Larry's not an icon for you. It's not like you were like, I have his picture in Trapper Keeper.
I never remembered him until I started rewatching Buffy, and I was like, oh yeah, that was actually huge for me. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't intended to be huge for the audience.
It's just like a backdrop. It's like a side, but it's also then like it is like this code that you have of like these people are accepting of gay people, right? Even if it's just Xander that only ever talks about it.
Having the heebie-jeebies and being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Gayness very much does exist in Sunnydale, long before Willow discovers witchcraft. Yeah, I'm trying to think of if there's like a movie that we should watch. If like this is like opening any doors that I can think of to things related to.
I think that's kind of the point, is that he isn't. These characters weren't supposed to open doors. They weren't meant to. Mm-hmm. They are not real queer stories. If anything, they're just like.
You don't think there's some queer athlete out there that bullied his way through high school in order to hide his sexuality? I'm sure there is.
Bully has such a wide range of meaning. And did you know also that cheerleaders are also athletes? So, I mean, I think you have one in particular. I'm not laughing at cheerleaders being athletes. I'm laughing at an individual that I can remember who was both queer and an athlete. And technically gaslighting is bullying. So, like, yeah. I'm not into you. You were into me. No, I wasn't, bro. I wasn't into you. You were also a cheerleader. So, fuck you. That was me being the gay bully. Oh, who's Larry now?
Dude, what a way to survive, though. Like, I think that a lot about, like, when people talk about, like, what, cancer culture? Cancer? I think about that a lot, and I think this is a good point for Larry, right? Like, what today is acceptable in terms of bullying and what was acceptable in the 90s and 2000s are very different, but I do believe that many millennials that grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s were armed with the ability to fight back, or at least try. Because anybody that ever bullied me or even made me uncomfortable about my sexuality like a fucking army. We had like a, like we would then maybe not directly make that person's life hell, but we would surely make it uncomfortable for them to exist in whatever bubble they were existing in.
It was high school. All we had to do was turn around at the same time and look like we smelled a fart. And it would. That's how the social brain works as a teenager. Bullying doesn't have to be shoving people around and touching their skirts and groping, which is what Larry did.
Yeah.
Before he came out.
Right. But even just like the verbal insults of it all, I think that's very much like something that people see as unacceptable now, or at least when like we see it in TV characters now. Like it was very much it was very real that people would verbally abuse people and people would verbally abuse people back. Like Xander, like people didn't put Xander down and then he was just like, whatever, okay, I can take it. I'm the bigger person. I don't have to. No,
he whined all the time.
There was no bigger person. There was, I'm gonna tell my friends about this asshole, and then we're gonna make sure that he's not a demon. But yeah.
Hey, audience, we talked about a lot of deep things here. High school murders, Columbine, bullying, and if you're affected by any of those things, seriously, like, text or call 988. They will help you with all that shitty feeling. Because, that stuff does come up. That stuff is real.
And just because you can take verbal bullying and dish it back out doesn't mean that you don't need help either.
I love that. That's for sure. That's for freaking sure. And it's nice to have a adult voice who isn't going to pretend like they have it all figured out or pretend like they understand, but will genuinely be interested in listening to you and finding out what they can do to support you and to keep you safe for now.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to Gay 2K. We hope to see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.